Hey everybody, James Abercrombie here from Acronis, joined by my good friend Heath Spencer. Heath, why TraitWare? What is TraitWare?
Well, the simplest 10-second response to get everybody interested is I think everyone can agree, as it says on the side of your awesome hat that you're wearing, is that passwords suck. I don't think that anyone can disagree that passwords don't suck, and that's why TraitWare. We've been on a mission to fix our personal frustrations with passwords, and then obviously all of the associated risks that come with using a shareable secret for access control.
I've got MFA enabled on most of my accounts. I find that it just kind of holds me back a little bit. But when you've shown me the solution that is TraitWare, it's a bit quicker than your typical or average MFA once it's all set up. Yeah.
It is, yeah. I mean, the average login time for using what we would term as legacy-based MFA, which is where you have a username, a password, and then most likely a one-time passcode that's delivered, hopefully via app-based authentication. Some people are still using SMS. The average login time using that type of platform is anywhere from 45 seconds to a minute at least. The average login time with TraitWare is 10 to 12 seconds. So the user definitely can log in faster because you don't have to type anything. You just log in 2 touches, and the MFA is native, or a different way to think about it is it's single-step MFA. And there's lots of other reasons that we're working to moving to transparent factors or unshareable secrets, right? So that the person can't get tricked into sharing them on accident.
Tell me a little bit more about why you decided to develop TraitWare. What triggered you to do this?
And it was unanimous that we all agreed that passwords suck and that we should have modern technology or modern solutions that address that problem that's really been around. Passwords have been in use since the dawn of man. They've been in use, recorded in use in a computerized gated access control, I think since 1961 at MIT, and that's all documented. And the crazy part of that story is that an MIT student beat that system within like 90 days of it being deployed. But people can go read that story on their own. But it's been a broken system for the last nearly 6 decades.
When we first met, you also showed me that you were able to put this in front of like the Microsoft logon, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you log into your computer, it's no longer typing in a password. What do you have to do? Tell me a little bit.
Yeah. So currently we have the ability to put passwordless MFA in front of Windows endpoints. So whether that's, client machines or servers in different environments. And we can also put it in front of modern cloud apps, as well as we extend to Linux environments for like SSH or SFTP, which is a very smaller use case, but very critical use case for access control there. So the user experience across any one of those 3 different environments, whether it's your cloud SaaS apps, Windows endpoints, logging in even on your mobile device, whether that's iOS or Android, or working from any other workstation to access those things, is really the same thing. We deploy a hardware-based authenticator, but in the use of a device-bound mobile app. So rather than having to purchase extra hardware keys like a YubiKey or Google Titan Key, et cetera, we use our mobile device that we're already carrying around every day. So we think there's efficiency delivered there from a cost-saving standpoint. It's already a device we already own. The other thing is that most mobile devices today, the vast majority, do have biometrics enabled on those that we can leverage to add additional factors of authenticating the user to the key before the key can be used. And then to sign in, whether it's to that Windows endpoint or to the cloud apps, we looked at how do we deliver additional factors, but maintaining transparency for the user, meaning the user doesn't enter them, the technology does, so that the user can't be phished for them, which allows us to deliver phishing resistant MFA, a login where it becomes extremely difficult for a threat actor to try to get in the middle or to socially engineer or to phish you for that login credential. So the login experience is I pick up my phone, I look at my phone with my face the same way I would just to unlock my phone, to unlock the TraitWare mobile app. And this can be white labeled or OEM'd into different existing mobile apps if businesses have that need. But if I'm using my TraitWare app, I just open up my TraitWare app, it scans my face as my biometric. It then does in milliseconds. Also, the reason the company's name is TraitWare is we all have unique trait characteristics, right? So James is, outside of his awesome beard, unique in many, many other ways. And we're able to use James's uniqueness through trait characteristics and the way that he interacts with his mobile device to deliver a very unique signing representation of you to your token and your token to the authentication server before your identity payload is sent to whatever you're trying to sign into, the relying party, whether that's your Windows endpoint, a cloud app, etc. That all happens in milliseconds. Basically, it's 2 touches: pick up my phone, open my TraitWare app, scan my face, and then where a one-time passcode is in use, instead of delivering you, the user, a 6-digit code, etc., that you then have to enter, we display a hidden or transparent 12+ digit code in the image of a QR code. And you just simply scan the QR code and you're logged in. Now, there's been a lot of attacks around QR codes lately as they became so prevalent during the pandemic to get the restaurant menu, et cetera, and being more in use because they're very efficient and they're very convenient. The issue with a lot of the QR codes that are out there today is that they're either redirecting you to a login page, they're just using it as a way to point you in a direction of logging in, or they're actually delivering some identity information in that QR code, which is vulnerable to interception, let's say. With TraitWare's process, the QR code is delivered in a secure way from our authentication server and can only be decrypted by a TraitWare mobile app. So we've made it very secure to where only the mobile app that's pre-registered can read the QR code that's delivered for the mobile app to scan. Meaning if you hold your phone's camera up to one of our QR codes, it won't go anywhere. There's no information in it. There's nothing that it can decipher and won't go anywhere. We're just simply sending a very strong OTP in a transparent factor that the technology is decrypting rather than the user. So you log in 2 touches in 10 to 12 seconds and you're done. No typing, no remembering or changing a password.
Makes it so simple and so secure too. I mean, so I obviously know what type of value this brings to everybody. So the value that is the integration of TraitWare and Acronis, the better together story, it's a
Yes.
no-brainer. It's knowing that when you're managing multiple different systems, multiple different workloads, how can you do it securely across multiple clients? And this is how, right? It's making sure that you have secure login that's phishing resistant. As we all know, phishing is one of the top vectors for attacks today.
Ann Johnson over at Microsoft says that if you deploy MFA correctly, you can stop 99.9% of the account takeovers. And the reason for single sign-on and why that's so important is without having centralized identity management, it becomes very difficult for businesses to actually enforce MFA policy or access controls on an account. Because if you don't have all the identities in one place in your company that you can then enforce those access controls via that centralized location, you're trying to chase managing the access at all of the different applications from different locations, and that becomes untenable in most scenarios. And in most scenarios, even with SSO in place, we're finding you can't secure what you don't know you don't have, and maintaining a very accurate asset list, which means anything in your business that could process, store, or handle data in any way really is an asset, which means your endpoints, your cloud apps, your people, all of those things. Matt Lee he says he's going to put it on his tombstone. What is an asset? Right. And it's a great statement on we really have to define those things. And without moving to centralized identity management, it really becomes difficult to do that, to manage the access controls to those assets. So we believe that, you have to have both together. We're also starting to see this called out in requirement frameworks. So whether it's like CMMC, NIST, CIS controls, all of those things. And then you look at the government starting to look at those frameworks and define it actually in state or federal mandates like the FTC safeguards rule. And the FTC safeguards rule calls out specific controls for making sure that if you're handling any kind of non-public PII related to financial transactions, et cetera, you have to have these controls in place. And when you in MFA is obviously one of the strongest ones that they recommend. And then they also call out that you've got to have cyber insurance, and really you can't get cyber insurance today without MFA. But if you dig a little, just slightly deeper in the fine print, you'll realize that having logging and attribution of which user took which action is absolutely part of the requirement, which is centralized identity management. And the simplest way to say that today is with single sign-on.
I think one thing that we've talked about many times that we may not have touched on this time was, that the whole biometric. I've got a brother who's just completely afraid of utilizing those, thumbprint scanners, right?
Yeah.
And I would say that there's probably going to be some reluctant MSPs out there for the same reason. Care to share why they should not be so scared?
Absolutely. And actually it's hot news right now. There's actually some articles out this week on other countries experiencing malware on mobile devices that, and a little bit of this, I believe, is clickbait, where they're saying they're stealing your biometrics. When if you actually read the fine print of the articles that have come out this week, it's actually people being tricked into installing a mobile app, a malicious mobile app that's not inside of the app store. So the first thing is, don't ever download a mobile app that's not inside of the Apple iOS store or the Google Play Store. Don't, make sure you're downloading apps that are certified by the OE vendors and not just direct from someone. That's step one. Step two is any app, you want to go make sure that it's validated. And the first place to get it validated is from those app stores, et cetera, from a trusted source. Then, moving on to how are biometrics used today? There's different ways that they're used. There's systems that are in your control and systems that are out of your control. And an example of this is on your mobile device. If you're using a quality device, whether that's an iOS device or an Android device, there are mobile device manufacturers that build them in a way where that information is stored in either a trusted platform module, a TPM module on an Android device. And then, Apple's definition of that is called the secure enclave. And what's interesting is that information is baked in at the chip level, and the OEM manufacturers don't know the math that's there. Now, I use the word math because most people don't understand when you're registering your biometric on a device, the device is not actually storing an image of your face or an exact image of your thumb. What it is doing is it's running a very sophisticated math equation to map the details of your face or to map the details of your thumb. So it's math. It's not taking a DNA sample and storing your DNA sample. It's not taking a picture of your face and storing the picture of your face, which is, happening. Deep fakes are happening. There's, a company that 2 weeks ago lost $26 million because of a video call deep fake attack. That is real. But that's totally separate from storing your biometrics on your mobile device that is just storing math.
Yeah.
Now, when your biometric is stored on your mobile device, that math is changeable. So people have this misperception of, well, if they steal my biometric, I can't change my face or I can't change my thumbprint. I have it for life. Yes, you do. But the math that was created to store that doesn't have to be for life. So my Face ID on my mobile device, I can delete it and I can rescan my face and the rescan will never have the exact same math as the first one or the previous one or whatever it is, because you hold the phone slightly different each time, whatever, the lighting's different each time. There are differences. And so I end up with new math. So in essence, I can delete the math and I can change the math, just like I could delete a password and I could change a password. So I think people need to understand that they're just storing math on a device like that. And if it's in their control, they can delete it and change it. Now, where you have to think or consider these other things is when the biometric math is stored not in your control. So there is consumer applications in play today where they're using biometrics where they're storing it. And in fact, might have been 4 or 5 years ago now, a 16-year-old won a lawsuit against Six Flags Magic Mountain because they stored his biometrics for his season pass without his permission, right? They stored it on site. In Illinois, this was against Privacy Act. So in that case, or if you register for like Clear to go through the airport, you are granting permission for them to store that biometric data on their servers. Now, you can request to have that math deleted and re-registered at some point, but it's a much bigger process than just doing it on your mobile phone, right? And so, I think people just really need to understand how the information is being used and where it's being stored and what rights they have to potentially change the math. And most people, once they understand that, become much more comfortable with it. Did that answer your question around biometrics?
It did indeed. It did indeed. I think that, understanding where that data is being stored, not just how it's being stored, but where it's being stored, makes a big difference as well. This is awesome. So can you show me a little bit of how it works?
I can. The critical information of what we're delivering through integration to the CyberProtectCloud, I think, is what's really maybe important for your and the Acronis MSPs to understand. So we can jump into how is TraitWare deployed via the CyberProtectCloud today. So as you can see, we're logging into the CyberProtectCloud right now, which this is a demo environment. So we've got test partner accounts set up. If you're an MSP using, CyberProtectCloud, you have access to all of these things. So you can click on integrations, and then you can search for like TraitWare inside of those integrations and go and find out all the information that you need to about TraitWare, inside of here, all the documentation, all the information's in here. And then if you're an existing TraitWare customer, you'd be able to just launch the integrations. If you are not an existing TraitWare customer, you can go launch a free trial of TraitWare right from that Acronis dashboard. You go to our sign up for a free trial. You get the free trial launched. Once that's up and running, then you can go deploy a TraitWare integration using the awesome GUI that Acronis has set up to go launch this. So you can see we're going to sign in using passwordless MFA into our console. So I actually am showing you how passwordless MFA works real quickly there, but app-based login to our console. Then you click on integrations, Acronis Cloud, and then, create integration. And then you're just going to copy and paste the API keys and the API secrets back over to your Acronis dashboard and integrate those there. And then we're basically going to do the reverse of that to create a very secure integration between the two and how you would map the different customers. We're actually going to then take some information from this customer tenant in the Acronis dashboard and put that into the specific customer tenant in TraitWare. Again, it's just copy paste. We're doing this in live time, so it goes quickly. It takes minutes. It's just copy paste from these GUI interfaces. And then once those are done, and on both sides, we'll actually demo a live alert around critical information that an MSP admin would want to make very good educated decisions without getting a bunch of alert fatigue or noise signals in their SIM, etc. So we think that some of the reasons that this is so important is that in recent breaches that affected like MGM, Caesars, Cloudflare, others, where an Okta admin got socially engineered, even including their MFA, to have account takeover. It really affected certain organizations that didn't have additional security alerting in place. Companies like Cloudflare did an amazing job where they were able to notice things that were not right very quickly and shut those accounts down and limit their blast radius of those things. So that type of conditional access controls and those types of alerting, we think, are very important for MSPs to make very good decisions about potential account takeovers, all of those things. Now, obviously, we've got a lot of measures in place to even prevent account takeover before it gets to this point, but nothing is bulletproof. And the more information that's quality information you can get, you should have as the MSP. And we think it should be from a centralized place of management, which is why we've worked with Acronis to deliver this type of information to their dashboard so that we can empower the MSPs to have the right information at the right time in real time. And it's why we're better together. And, you know, I kind of was talking over the video that's running in the background there, but as the MSPs hopefully can notice, it's very quick to deploy, delivers live alerting in the moment from that. And it's very simple, right? Because Acronis has done a good job to make it, GUI based to deploy that, which you can speak to better than I can, because that's on your side of the fence.
Definitely. So that just speaks so loudly as to the ease of use, not just the ease of deployment, but the ease of use is the time saving, right? Is knowing that it's secure and that you can report on this secure, right? You can show this all in one console. And that's really what that Better Together story with Acronis is that in the Acronis CyberProtectCloud platform, you have the capability of not only deploying, but you have the ability of alerting and getting this monitoring, getting that real-time information that allows you to then make the right decision for your team as to whether or not that is a ticket that needs to be actioned or maybe something that just needs to be viewed later, right?
Absolutely. And, I think there's additional value as the MSPs, I think you agree, they are really having to help companies meet these requirements, whether it's a state and federal mandate, whether it's a supply chain mandate, most of which all require now some level of cyber insurance. And when you look at having technologies that map specifically to the dedicated controls that are called out in either of those frameworks, whether it's, again, CMMC, CAS controls, NIST, that then all are being really plucked from for cyber insurance. When you look at what Acronis covers in those controls and what TraitWare then covers, you can reach a 60 to 70% coverage between just our two companies. And the fact that they are integrated together makes it that much more efficient to use, as you were just saying, James.
Mm-hmm.
But it also gives you peace of mind right after the fact with the right forensics, the logging, the central identity management, all of those things, let alone the efficiencies from the admin's standpoint, the support engineers. We didn't talk about it all, but, Acronis delivers, very simple recovery methods, click recover, right? One click recover, et cetera, for backup, et cetera. Endpoint detection response. TraitWare delivers, very simple single step MFA. So there's no gap in coverage. You're not like herding cats to get people to register their MFA tokens. Because we're using SSO, the MFA is native across all the apps that are behind that SSO portal. So it really drives efficiency around all of those things. And then, the asterisk or the extra winner is we see in typical deployments a greater than 90% reduction in password support tickets, which is a massive thing for most MSPs to manage, is you don't have to reset passwords. People don't have to meet a password policy because it's built into the technology, which becomes a massive value add for the MSPs. And we've got an incredible MSP program for them as well, obviously, to go hand in hand with that.
What else do you want to tell the Acronis MSP community here, my friend?
I think it's the Acronis MSP community, I think, just needs to really think about how they're handling, authentication and solving the problem for their clients. I think they can all agree, as we just started this discussion, that passwords suck.
100%.
In that MFA is no longer a nice to have, but it is a must have. And you made a comment of, trying to get C-suite executives or business owners or whatever to actually want to use MFA is difficult, because most legacy MFA systems add friction to the user. And I think that, once MSPs realize they can deploy MFA using modern technology that gets the user just thinks they got to go passwordless, right? They don't actually think that they're using MFA. They just now get to log
Let's
in and
keep it like that. We'll keep it simple. Make them think that it's just passwordless. It's not killing two birds with one stone. All right. It's
right.
super simple.
Yeah, super simple. 2-touch login, no typing, and we just made your life easier, and we gave you back, every time you log in, we gave you back 30 to 45 seconds of login time, and you times that by thousands of employees, that adds up real quickly, and it just drives efficiency. And the C-suite executives can't say don't turn on MFA if they can't see it. It's transparent.
Anything that makes the service manager more favorable, right?
Absolutely. We're here to make them the heroes, not the zeros.
I love it. I love it. All right. Well, Heath, I really appreciate you taking the time to sit down and show us a little bit of what TraitWare's been working on. What's to come next of this integration?
Well, there's lots of things. They're actually releasing more integrations this week for the Acronis, the information that we're delivering to the Acronis dashboard around really, critical information that could vary from privilege escalation of a user. You might want to know when that's happening. Different types of alerting information around that. As we continue to build this relationship with Acronis and with other companies, improved automation through APIs, et cetera, is all coming. There's discussions around, where this really can go from a single dashboard while still maintaining security, right? So there's some things to be considered, and we also want to give the MSPs the control and choices of which components they want where, and there's always this trade-off between convenience and security, and how do we find the right balance? So, but I can tell you that there's exciting things coming in the future.
All right, my man. Well, I appreciate you taking the time. And for those who are watching, go and check out the TraitWare solution. You can find them on solutions.acronis.com. You can also find them in the integrations tab on the CyberProtectCloud platform. So until next time, stay cyber protected.